All right. So, past couple of days, I've been doing a survey solve. Whoa, I'm hearing my audio come back to me. Don't like that. Okay. So, past couple of days, I did a survey solve. Now I'm going to do the actual shot. So what I'm going to do is we're going to be taking the points over in here and also the geo over in Blender. We're going to take this into Synthize and we're going to constrain our actual shot to the survey data. The purpose of survey data is that you get an accurate measurements, accurate measurements or a decent reconstruction of your environment that you shoot in. This way, if you have a camera shot from this angle, well, you can constrain it to some existing points or line up your geometry and project your points onto that. Maybe you have a shot over here and over here. You have like 1,000 shots that need to exist in the same world space. This helps you keep continuity. It also means that you can get easier, accurate focal length if you don't happen to have the data, because you're going to be able to pin, align, and when you constrain stuff to existing data like this, your camera is going to have virtually no wriggle room to be incorrect. If that makes sense. I might have worded that funny. I'm sorry. So, now, before I go and add any of these shots, let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. This shot I'm hoping to do stuff to. I want to put vines everywhere. I want to color it. I want to do upside down stuff. I also got to paint out the lights and whatever. Yeah, it's just the project I'm going to do on my own, but the tracking side of it I'm going to do here. So this is going to be a very fast shot, but just showing people how I might use the data that I created in the past couple streams. So, first off, let's try a quick auto track. I don't really use auto track. It's rare that I ever have a shot that I could use it, but this shot's pretty easy. Great, so what do we have here? A lot of points. That's what we have here. So let's go ahead and hit solve just to see what's going on. And look for anything that's erroring out. I already see one point here. It's found itself an intersecting line, so a fake point in space. I'll just delete that because I see it immediately. But let's turn on our tracking radars, which is something you should probably have on all the time. So if you see any red circles doing intense blips, like right here, we can spot one immediately that is popping off. That's not really going to harm the solve, but it's something that we can clean up. You can unlock your auto track if you want and delete it manually, or just delete it. We have enough points. But if you want to fix it, there's a couple ways to do that. You could unlock it and just manually fix the tracker, or let's bring it back. You can come into F7, Graph Editor. Where's that point? You can take a look at the velocity trails over here, and you have a deglitch tool down here, which I believe you can click this stuff and get rid of any massive spikes in velocity. So you can see that we cleared it out here. I don't usually rely on this tool. It's not always the greatest, but it's nice when you got to do something fast. Because sometimes the tracker and many trackers are beneficial during the majority of your shot, but you do have to get rid of some of those spikes. Okay, so we got this very quick, see, we got another pop over there. I'm going to hit Shift-C, and we're going to look for high error trackers. Let's reduce this down to like 5, and hit Select. So any point with an error that goes above 5 is going to highlight. So we can scrub along here and take a look at what the points are. And it doesn't get a whole lot of points. Certainly we don't really need them. You can see it caught one over here that's found another intersecting corner between the car and the pillar. Let's just go fix, and it's going to delete them. So now we have this. I see another pop, but yeah, let's see what happens if we solve. We have an error of 1.8. We're not even using distortion yet. So go. And notice how all the circles got big, right? That's not a problem. These circles are relative. They're always going to show you error no matter how good your solve is. So they've just adjusted themselves to show us like, okay, we have a great solve, but where could you improve it? Not that we always need to improve it. They're just always going to be there to help you if you need it. So, I'm not going to worry about every little blip like this. It's not hurting my solve. If I hit Control J to hide the trackers, Shift 5 to lock into the 3D point, and let's also hit period to hide the radars. Little tiny spikes here and there, these trackers, they don't, every other good tracker is going to overpower the one frame where a tracker pops. It's not going to be visible. So I wouldn't go overkill on everything, but, you know, do as much as you can. Okay, so I'm about ready to start constraining this to my environment, and I will be doing distortion, just not yet. We'll do it later because I kind of want to show how it looks with and without distortion, just depending on who's watching this. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we are going to, there's a couple ways we could do this. So I'm going to have one synthize, two synthize. So this file over here, this is the survey solve that I did. And over here, all of these points is something that I can use the coordinates of any of these trackers and apply it over here. So let's say I have points on this sign. I can take the survey data from this sign and copy it over to a tracker on the sign in the matching shot. I don't have a tracker here, so I'm going to have to add one. Okay. So if I were to do that, I'm not going to do this for all the shots because there's another thing I want to show, but I do want to show the manual way. So I can go and create a tracker, run it through, and over here, the points over here, if I were to select this one on the sign, come over to trackers, you can see we have seed and lock right here. Now, I want this coordinate here, this solved coordinate. We have the X, Y, and Z position of this point in 3D space. I want to be able to enter this in over here on this tracker. You can see that we have no solved data because, you know, we happen to just track it and not solve it. But we want to paste it up to seed and lock because if we paste it right here, we can tell Synthize to lock to it. But I don't want to type it in every frame. So all these trackers here, well, actually this one first, I can hit set seed. So now that I've hit set seed, okay, we don't see it here yet because I happen to have a tracker link on. So I'm going to right click this. There we go. So all these trackers, I am going to set seed. So now all of them have their 3D point positions recorded in the seed and lock panel. So I'm going to come over here and right click target just so that none of them have any links. And now I can copy this very quickly. And turn on lock and seed. Seed we're going to have on because we are going to solve this from seed points mode. So that's the manual way to do it. And you can do this like 4, 5, 6 times and that's it. You're done. You can find matching points very easily in something like this. But I do want to show another way. We're going to merge the files. So first off, I do got to save this shot. So 1 second. Using the be right back screen just in case there's some project files I'm not aware of that I shouldn't show. Okay. So I just saved my shot, and now wherever your survey solve may be saved, you're going to want to just you're just going to want to you're gonna go file merge on your actual shot, and you're you're gonna go file and then merge right here, and then when you click merge, you're just gonna navigate and find the synthized save file for your survey, and it's gonna be loaded in as a second camera. So I'm about to go file merge, and I'm gonna select that synthized file, and I'll see you again in one moment. Okay, so make incoming trackers names unique. Yes, typically do that. All right, so I'm just going to minimize this and full screen this. So now we have the other scene merged over here. We have two cameras. We have our big survey solve, and we have our original camera just freely doing what it's gonna do, I guess. Now, I am going to find some matching points, and to do that, I'm gonna split my screen. Actually, first, let's switch over to our camera 2, which is the survey camera, and make sure that over here I have all the, actually I don't need to set any seeds and stuff. Yeah, you'll see in a second. There is a couple things you could do. There's multiple ways that you can constrain this, and I'm just gonna do it the way that I like, but I'll show it. So I'm gonna split my view. Let's go camera and perspective, L lock to camera, and this view is already on our survey. Yeah, because we're in camera 2, and here if you right click you can switch to camera 1, camera 2, and this view over here I'm going to right click over here and switch to camera 1. And if I click in this viewer, you can see my timeline is now based on this view. Also, I'm going to click this little reset time bar zoom so I can scrub my main shot. A little bit laggy. Yeah, I've never had it that laggy before on something like this. That's too bad. Okay, so let's hide points over here and hide the geo. I have a hotkey for it. You can hide your geo by coming to view, show meshes. And I think there was a way that you can like freeze the timeline in one view so that when you scrub through your shot over here, you're not depleting what's on the right, but I don't remember how to do that or if it's actually a thing. So the points actually aren't here. Why is that? Is it because this? Yeah, it's because of this. We have two very different world sizes. I am going to go to edit scene settings and turn the camera size way down. Okay, so another way that you can do this is, first off, let me track a point right here. I am very surprised at how laggy this is. There's no reason for it to be laggy. This camera is moving for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, it was. Huh, weird. Yeah, I wonder why that's playing so slow. You know what? We're going to hit F2 and come solely to this camera first. There we are. Now, I'm going to come over to layout, and I think at the bottom, custom 1 over here is what we just made. Okay. I don't know what this is. I'm so used to the custom at the one forming into whatever we just made, so I'm just going to come back here. Oh, I guess I didn't really make a custom. I just went to camera in perspective. Okay. So there's a couple things you can do. You could, oh great. I hit the wrong button. So you could, let's switch both of these to a camera view, and I'll right click here, make a camera 2. So you could select a point over here, and then you can come over to the other view, alt click the matching point, and now, hey, 1 second, I'm getting a call. Okay, well that was unfortunate timing for a call. Okay, let's jump back into this and finish this off. Yeah, the other way you could do it is you can select your trackers. And like I did, I clicked one, and on the other view, also I'm gonna minimize something over here. I don't wanna look at myself. So, I linked this tracker over here. So now this tracker should be constrained over to this. Actually, you know what? Let's try this. I want to see how well it works. It's been a while since I've done it this way. I used to. I don't really do it now. Let's get this corner right here. So now, with it selected, I'm gonna hit F3. Nope, actually, I'm gonna split it. Custom 2 is there, by the way. Nice. So with this selected, I'll click this one. Identical place. This one has a constraint. So I'm also going to make sure, before I forget, to disable the camera motion on my survey camera. And I hope this is going to work properly. Let's see, the vent. Sure, let's go with the vent. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Just because I'm curious what... Also, I didn't link this, but just because I'm curious, I am going to immediately try to solve this. See if it snaps. So... Just I don't know what mode we should be in. I'm not too sure how this constraint is gonna run. I forget. It's been a long time since I've touched it. So first, before we change anything, let's see what happens if I solve right now. Okay, so it already lined itself up. And I've assumed that none of those points are like 100% fixed. So you could see the points are close, but they're not forced. And it's probably more obvious out here. Where's the vent? Actually, these are really close. I'm surprised. So if we look over here, you could see that the purple points from the other camera already line up. And if I turn on geometry, oh yeah, we need some geo. So over here in Blender, what I'm going to do is we are going to take this geometry, export it for Synthesize. I've already done this, but I'm just going to show you real quick. So if you have your geo organized, you can come over here into your collection, select objects, and now you have them all. If you don't, then manually shift select them all. I'm going to hit F3. Type in export, and you're going to see wavefront OBJ. So here I'm just going to overwrite geometry I already have. Over here, you do want to make sure that you have selected only checked on. And if you're going from Blender to Synthesize, I don't know what your units are. Maybe you got to change just from like 10 or 100 or 1,000. I doubt that. But this geo needs to be scaled up 100 times. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely small in Synthesize. So type in 100 here. Synthesize, when you exported out of Synthesize for Blender, I believe it already scaled it down 100 times or something for it to work over here. So I am going to just export. And now over here, I'm going to go File, Import Mesh. And no, don't strip normals. So now you could see that things already line up kinda. And kinda because, yeah, like we did the solve, but like I mentioned, I wanted to wait before I do any other really fancy stuff. And that fancy stuff being distortion, and also we do gotta constrain a couple more things. So, let's turn on distortion and let's start working with this. Actually, not that distortion. We're not gonna work in classic just because I don't want to work in classic anymore. This still has its uses, but I think it's better everyone going forward using radial fourth order. So use your first parameter. This would probably be your quadratic, and not this one, and this might be cubic or quartic or something, but I'm going to use it as well. So now we're going to solve, and we're also going to solve using constrain. And yeah, it works. Nice. And so now that we're forcing things to fit better, you can see over here the actual constrained and linked points over here are snapping perfectly. And we don't have any data over here, so we're going to have to add some here. The pipe looks pretty cool. And the distortion looks like what? Let's right click, come to camera 1. Distortion looks kind of cool. Also, let's go and do a little bit of cleanup. I want to shrink these points down. There's two ways to do it. We can change our world size down. Let's go 3,000. Let's go 1,000. Maybe 1,500? Sure. And I'm going to hit G. I don't want to see that grid plane because, well, I have my own. Also, that world size, let's drag it up because it clipped my back wall. And if you don't want to drag the world size up, you can go to Edit Scene Settings and you have a far near clip. So, let's actually just make this 2,000. There we go. Okay, now let's start adding some more points. So, let's go and add. Let's try something. So, I kind of want to add, what's this point here? Okay, so I can probably track something pretty close to that corner, but it's pretty fuzzy, right? Like, it's kind of fuzzy. I don't know what part of the eroded corner I got. So if I come over here, like, see, it's a bit of a mush. So let's try something here. Let's track something along the Y axis of this pillar and turn on offset. So we'll hold shift, move it over. So we're tracking most of this detail. And I'm just going to disable it actually, not track it the full way through. Because there was a little bit of side and you know what, let's fix that. I don't like it. Let's track the little white notch here. Okay, so we've tracked the edge of this pillar, and now I'm going to go and click place, and we're going to place this point, you know, somewhere on the geometry, and we're going to place it right on the edge of this pillar. So there's no way that I accurately guess the height of where this should be on this pillar. So we're not going to use log point, we're going to use any y-axis. So when I hit solve now, yes. These points got kind of big. Okay, so you could see the upside down triangle is where I actually clicked and placed my seed. and the upright triangle. Wait, the upright. Sorry, I'm used to Synthize as upright triangle. Sorry, this is the actual solve point, and this is where I actually placed my seed. This is the seed coordinate, the lock coordinate. So you could see where I clicked it, where I guessed it to be up on that pillar, and you could see Synthize calculated somewhere along that axis where it would rather be. And you could see as a result, more stuff has kind of went and found its place. So let's go and worry about the stuff on the back over here. I know this is probably that, so let's track this and just constrain it. Alright, so the other way that we can constrain without using that place feature is I can come over in this view and so I'm looking through camera 1, but we could see the seed points from camera 2, and that's what that is. So I could come over to place, and I can place the seed for my tracker, right? But if I hold control, I could snap to vertices. But I can also click on existing 3D solve point, and I can put the constraint right on something existing. So I just constrained it. I gave it the same coordinate as the point on the other camera without linking them. So now I should be able to solve, and yes, we've tightened our geo much further. Also over here, I don't like the lighting on the geometry. It's helpful sometimes, but here it's a little hard to see. So I'm going to come over, lit wireframes off, and I don't want to see anything passing through the pillars, so let's right click, view, occluded wireframes. There we go. And also the color's a little bit too bright. Let's go with a desaturated dark blue, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's a bit too dark. Maybe we can contrast it to something like magenta red or something, I don't know. No, let's go with light blue. Dark light blue. There we go. I like it. Okay. So it looks like the pillar is kind of cool looking, but let's see if it's worth the pillar being adjusted. Whoops. Okay, so this tracker here, let's say I thought that maybe I didn't model the pipe accurately, maybe, like, we don't know. But let's say, actually, you know what? This pillar should be lifted up ever so slightly, and we use the y-axis point, so we might not have the lift in our foreground that we need, and it's evident in the pipe. So if I want, let's take this seed. We can place it on the pipe, or you can come over and drop it on the mesh. Doesn't matter, so long as your seed gets there. And you know, we're just gonna place. So if I want this pipe to lift up, I'm gonna drag the seed down a little bit. So if I solve, you could see it reached and pulled the pipe. Let's move it up a little bit, adjust that. There we go. So there's also something imperfect about this. Because I clicked and dragged that seed around, that doesn't mean that I perfectly kept it on, you know, the left and right of the pipe. So let's tell it it's free to move on some axis. What axis would that be? The pipe is aligned with the x-axis. So let's tell the tracker it's free to move on the x-axis so long as it keeps that height that we gave it. So let's go any x. And you see it kept the height, but it kind of found a position that it's more comfortable with. Okay, so after all this, there's something I want to do. I don't know how much this is going to help me, but I want to account for a little bit of rolling shutter. I don't want to actually use a rolling shutter because I haven't fully refined my my idea of a workflow. I've done it before in a past stream where I've done actual rolling shutter with a compensated plane, and have gotten it in Blender where it worked, where a rendered rolling shutter motion blur worked. I don't want to do that right now, so I'm gonna use Synthesize's ability to animate these parameters, and I'm gonna tell it to animate on this and this. It's not how you want to calculate rolling shutter. In fact, there's no physically accurate way to do so. But maybe this gets us, you know, as far enough. It gets us far enough. So I'm going to set these to animate by frame. And if I calc, so now every frame, it's subtle. Oh, by the way, let's see what the error did. The error dropped by 0.1, so we're at 0.5. We got into 0.4. And you could see here that, and there's some micro jitters, and maybe this is a little bit of my shutter being compensated for. So that's something I'm just gonna roll with because I want it. And yeah, also another thing, I'm pretty much done. I will be smoothing my camera in a moment, but another thing to take note of is, let's say you have your trackers on the ground. And I don't know how locked my ground is. In fact, I actually don't care too much because I'm going to adjust my geo to my shot. Usually I'd spend more time on a survey and make sure the ground everywhere is really perfect, really snug. I'd model more stuff, but I just wanted to demo it on stream, so I didn't model everything. But if, let's say you were pretty confident with your geo and these trackers need to be on the floor. If we look over here at F3 orbit, oh, the points are pretty good, actually. Damn. I was going to say we can project the trackers so we can go like view, drop on a mesh. Wow, that's really close. You could see some are not quite there yet. Like let's take this one. So if I drop it on the mesh with a hotkey I got, you could see, why is it that off? Oh, because it's just that sunken into the floor. Okay. Yeah, so that point's sunk into the floor. That point, that's where the projection lands. So if I were to solve, you can see how the ground points all move and adjust. But we forced it, and I don't know if that's correct. We can free it up a little bit by telling any floor. So it's going to keep that height of the floor where you projected it. But now when I solve, you see it's freed itself up a little bit. It's separated a little bit right there. So, but I'm not going to do this because I don't trust my floor. I'm just going to let all the points free solve. And I'm going to sculpt my floor to these points. Okay, so now my camera, I am going to quickly smooth out the jitter that's happening here. And to do that, I'm going to look over it. I just like seeing it here. See a little jitter there. I am going to come over to filter and control, X, Y, Z, make sure that we're under camera 1. And depending on what type of shot you have, you would use different intensities for a smooth. A default, a typical shot that you might see in production, like a dolly, a jib, a crane. This frequency of 5 is pretty good. It's a pretty strong smooth. If you're handheld, maybe make this like 12 or something. I like 12. It keeps your motions, doesn't destroy your big motions, but it gets rid of the fine jitters. In this case, my clip is slow motion from a moving car, so I'm gonna just keep it at 5. So smooth. So I just smoothed out my camera path, but now we have to recalc our rotations. So let's go position, hit get, and here's our animation, the actual path. And if you're wondering what this is, the lock will listen to what's ever loaded into seed path. So whatever alteration you make to the path, whether it's manual or using that filtering, you gotta load it in here and then lock. The reason being is because you can actually animate the weights of how strong it listens to this. So I'm just gonna switch to refine and hit go. And yeah, so there's our smooth camera. And here's my final shot. Yeah. So any imperfection, I'm just gonna shot fix my model. If you had LiDAR, you wouldn't have to do this, but this is quick sloppy models by me, and I know that I'm doing one shot. I'm not doing a sequence of shots around my environment. But yes, I'm just gonna do a little micro adjustments on my models as I see fit and finish modeling from this angle because I'm not doing anything else. Yeah, well, that's about it. So I could come over lens workflow. I'm not gonna work like this, but the traditional thing with Synthize is you would apply redistorted 2. And you now have your little black borders. And in my case, my distortion is animated, so you could see it moving. You would render out your sequence. You would save sequence and ship this over to whatever your 3D package is. In this case, I'm going to undo it because I'm going to be trying the new Synthize stuff because, well, we want to do all the overscan stuff now because we're able to. So yeah, that's about it. I am done. So that was a quick one. And whatever the next stream I do is, it's probably going to be on some like proper production shot. I'm gonna look at some stock footage sites and find some cheap options that I can buy from, but also try to actually find a cool plate that's tough. Also, I'm kind of sick of this camera showing itself. If you're kind of tired of that, you can come over to hierarchy view. Let's just collapse this. So camera 2, I can hide. There we go. Huh? Oh, it's because it's selected. There we go. I don't see it now. Cool. Well, that's that. I am done. All right. I am gone. Later.